What is happening? So, today is going to be a little bit different. I have this plant monster with an eyeball coming out that I need to colour. But before we get into that, I want to break down a little bit colour theory. So class is in session. I've been seeing some videos that people have been using overlays to find their highlight colours and their shadow colours, which is quick and easy, but it's a bit better if you can do it yourself. You have more range to push the limits of your colour theory and make your artwork a little bit interesting, which we'll see after on the end slide. Different ways to colour. But yeah, let's get on with it. So here we have an image from the interwebs, good old Google. I've picked out 3 swatches from this area here, and we're going to start with the base color, and I'm going to show you how I've learnt to pick my highlights and my shadow colors. When we go to the highlight swatch, you can see the dot on the bar goes towards the yellow, and that's what we want to implement when we're finding highlight colors. So it doesn't matter if it's on the red, in the dark blue, on the purple, you want the dot to slightly move towards the yellow hue. So we go back to the base color and you can see it's moved back from the yellow hue. And then when we get into the shadow, it does the opposite. We head towards the blue. Your highlights are generally warmer and your shadows are generally cooler in color. So now we're going to look at how the same thing sort of happens when we're talking about distance. So we're going to start off in the foreground, and you'll see as we head towards the background, the colors start to become more cooler and eventually go from green to more of like a bluey violet color. And now we'll do it in reverse, and you can see when we come to the foreground, it comes more of a highlight warm color back to the nice green that we started off with. This is how I like to do things, and this is how I've found out my art becomes more lively. I'm going to go through how I pick my colors now. I will be picking the colors for the artwork that I've shown you at the start. So we're going to start off with the blue, and this will just like a live color pick. So we'll start off with the base color. I usually do 3 to 4 colors since I'm doing cell shading. The more colors, it looks a bit too chaotic. This is just what I like and what I've learned to do. To grab a shadow color, I've slid the color bar towards the dark blue, and I've played around with adding some black and some saturation there. For the even darker color, I've literally done the same thing. So you want to go sort of on an angle. You don't want to overdo it, but you can also, when doing this, you have more opportunity to push the limits and make something a little bit more interesting. So with the highlight, I go back to the base color, and then you want to slide the color bar towards the yellow, and then slide the main color dot towards the white. You can see just screen grabs of how I've picked the other colors. So we've got our base color of the red, bit darker tone, and then we pick the highlight, and then we get the even darker color. And as you can see here, gives a more interesting color palette than just adding black or white to your color. And with the yellow, if you just add black, it becomes dirty and yuck. But if you start sliding the color bar more towards the reddy side when you get your darker tones, it's not as dirty, not washed out. You can use the same, you don't have to change the color. So when you're doing the overlays, you keep everything the same color. So with highlights, I've got overlay on this one, but I think when you do a blue, like a cooler color, you have to have screen. And then with your shadows, you put the layer mask on multiply. But you can see here, it's all the same color. The layer mask does it all for you. And you can sort of see it's similar to what I color picked. it's a lot more lighter. As you can see, I'm on the darkest layer and I'm drawing the veins of the eye, and it's doing sort of the cell shading for you, which is handy, but I like having more limits I can push when I do my color theory. So as you can see here, we've got the 3 orbs. The first one is the custom color I've picked. The middle one is overlays, and then the one on the end is literally just adding black and white to the base color. And you can see the custom color is a lot more vibrant. You could probably push the limits a bit more, whereas the middle one looks a lot better than the black and white. The black and white looks very washed out and lifeless. The overlays, look, you can get away with it. You want to, it's up to you. But I feel like the more you understand, the more you can push. So yeah, we've got all the colors picked out, and now it's time to get into coloring the final design. I'll go through the sketching process as well. So generally I sketch the design out, flesh it out, and then I do like 2 refinement layers. So I'll do another refinement layer, see how I feel with the design, and then the final one I'll change and play around with the final lines. And yeah, that is the end of the class. I hope you have learnt something and you enjoy the rest of the video. Have a good day.